Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Last Stand Gamers, and welcome. So today we're taking a look at another beautiful ship from the Steam Workshop. Now, this is the Auger Star, once again created by Dolan. Now, we've seen some of his beautiful works of art before, and this one does not disappoint. So this is a much larger scale ship. It's the idea of a converted drone carrier. So first we'll do a quick look around the exterior, and then we'll pop inside to have a look at the beautiful interior as well. So the main visual feature of this ship is these two separate cells divided up by this shaft. So you've got this frontal area and you've got this rear engine, that sort of area that acts as an engine bay. And then you can see how he's combined a lot of colours, and he's created these abstract little lumps to create more detail by using shadow. So coming to the front of the ship, you'll notice we have this sort of covered area, where we see this on a lot of ship designs, where it adds a little bit of protection to the frontal area, as well as giving a lot of detail. And in the center here, we actually have the bridge, or the control area of the ship, that is beautifully detailed and is used a small ship to do that, but we'll pop in there a little bit later on. Now, as we come down, you can see how he's used these half blocks in this area to create that detail, and from a distance you can see how it sort of casts them little bits of shadow and just adds a beautiful little effect. And down on the side here we also have an entrance bay, and slightly below we have access to the drone repair area. On this little beam of this outcaster that we've got, you can see he's put a laser antenna, and he's just crafted these beautiful shapes. And to add a little bit of something different, he's also added this one onto a rotor here, so it gives it a little bit of a different angle. Very nice to look at, very appealing indeed. So let's continue working our way down the side. So like a lot of these designs, you can see how he's cast this curve into the outer armored shell, and I think that looks absolutely beautiful. He's used them two heavy large blocks on the corner, and just cast that beautiful little cornered shape onto the design. So as we come a little bit further back, we actually have ourselves a docking port. Once again, it's been fully decorated by them half blocks, and there's the little docking nodule itself. Now coming a little bit further back, you'll notice how he's split this into 3 individual cells, and this is a great idea of just creating some detail. You can see the 58 on the side there, and he's just cast this shadowed area there, creating them 3 cells. Very nice indeed. And to break up that shape ever so more, he's once again changed the colour of this central area and added them little half blocks in, adding even more detail into the design. There's really a lot you can learn from this design itself. So as we come up to the top area, before we drop down and look at them little cells on the side, you can see he's added this brick area in the centre. That could be some sort of ducts for wiring. He's got this on both sides here, but he's got this side a little bit different. You can see how it goes over the 58 itself. Very interesting. You can see how that then leads into this object on top that seems just to sort of pop out of the shape itself, and I really like that. It just kind of adds more layers of detail. Not everything is perfectly uniform on both sides. So as we come a little bit lower, you can see we've got these little cells. Now these could be fuel tanks, these could be whatever your imagination leads them up to. In the particular aspects of the design, if I go inside these, they're just an empty shell connected onto the side of the ship, but from a distance you can see how that adds a lot of detail in there. Now this is what I think is really cool as well. So as we go to this rear pod that extends further down than the first 2 secondary pods, mainly because it acts as a control sort of nerve center. You can see the actual cockpit up there for controlling the drone sort of working area. So these could repair, maybe even project drones out of this particular section. We also have the spotlights going into this area, and we have this armored shield. So this spaced armor is once again great for protecting the outer ship. The explosion, if it occurs on the bottom, will not make it into the inner layer. That's absolutely perfect. You can see we've got a little observation window from the back here, so you can see this area between the 2 ships. A good area where you could have your drones circling maybe before they go into battle. Now we're moving on to the shaft itself. So what's really cool about this ship is how it kind of just cuts straight off. It's not smooth or anything, it's just a direct flat surface in to this central core. Now the central core, what he's done is he's had these beams to the side, so it looks like it's actually being reinforced, and it could take some damage if it had an impact. It just wouldn't snap off in the center. Well, let's have a look at the detailing on that shaft itself. Let's look how thin it is as well compared to the rest of the ship. So he's added various turrets at different points on these little raised platforms that he's stuck in. He's added some refineries in there for a little bit of detail, and then he's put some curved and round blocks there on the side. And he's also got this beautiful little maintenance hatch. You can imagine if maybe one of the turrets has gone down, you could send you don't send an asteroid out, you send an astronaut out to maintain one or two of the turrets. So as we continue a little bit further back, there's not anything really special in the shaft area itself, except how I like it's been connected. So you can see them individual joints there, possible wires or just reinforcements to the shell itself. So as we come to the rear of the ship now, on top we have this very mighty radar dish that I absolutely love the design of. That is just beautiful. Doesn't serve a great purpose, it's more just a look sort of feature. You can see we've got the antenna on the top, and then we've got these two other pillar based lights that just create a bit more detail and depth into the design, rather than just having a standard antenna stuck to the roof. Now, as we move ourselves to the rear thruster pack, instead of having 3 cells here, we've got like 1 cell in the center, and we've got this vented area at the bottom and this square center at the top. It reminds me very much of a Star Destroyer or some sort of Star Wars design, how he's recessed in a lot of these areas as well. And you can say, as we come down to this lower section, we've got these square bits that kind of come off to the side, maybe some venting for the engine. You just have to leave it to your imagination. The detailing on the ship is very vast in a lot of areas. So as we come down to the bottom, we've got another communications array, but this time instead of having a big satellite dish, just got 2 sort of antennas that are lent off to the side. Now with all these rotors, clang might appear, so it might not be the best idea to take it into a battle. And at the back here, we've got another little bit of detailing. And then it brings us on to the thruster pack itself. For a ship of this size, you'd expect maybe more thrusters than this, because each one of these thruster packs actually has 7 thrusters in it. And we have a total of 3 on each side, making 6 thrusters. And we've got the detail in the actual center here that is quite beautiful. You can just see how it sort of leads up to being a matrix of sort of shapes, and from a distance you can see how that detail is created by them smaller blocks in the center. Something that I can never say enough about: if you're trying to detail a ship, just add smaller blocks onto them to cast the shadows like he's done here. Anyway, absolutely beautiful. Let's get stuck inside. Now, there's an extremely lot to look at when it comes to inside, so we'll have a look at the bridge, we'll have a look at the engine room, and I'll show you one more of my favorite areas. Otherwise, you'll have to explore the rest by downloading this from the workshop. So we've actually popped ourselves into the bridge here, and you can see we have a small ship connected to the rotor in the center here. Now this acts as like a communication hub. You can imagine standing around. I'll actually pop my character in here so you can see what it's like scale to my character. We've got the computers down below, and we can also access various points around here. We have the sound blocks, we have the sensors, so we can access the doors quickly and leave the bridge if we need to. The bridge is particularly exposed being on the front of the ship, but since it's just a drone deployment ship, it doesn't necessarily need to be super protected. And you've got all the displays from up above here, so you can check your monitor, your displays. Just super effective, apart from it ejects you out the front onto that strange little glass walkway, and you have to slit yourself back in through here. But we've got all the information that you could possibly want, as well as a very detailed control layout for just using a small ship and vanilla blocks. Now we'll go to my second favorite area. That is, if we just go through the hull, we drop through the med bays, we go through, you can see how vast the actual internals of this ship are. If I just cut or clip through the actual place, we've got this massive staircase that takes us all the way down to this bottom floor. Sorry for clipping through and destroying your eyesight. And here we actually go into the first of the many hangar bays. Since this is a drone carrier now, you can imagine this being filled with drones. That's the entrance to the front of the ship that we had a quick look at before. And if we go through to this area, we have the first drone area where you could imagine storing some maybe your cargo drone ships. The lighting here is very atmospheric. It's very dark at the same time. If I actually spawn my character into this area, you can have a quick look. I believe there is more lights that you can switch on as you walk through this area. Otherwise, you just have to have this dark, ominous sort of ship lighting that you're getting here. So as we come into this next cargo bay, just look how the lights have been directed through them half-constructed blocks. Very, very atmospheric. We actually have an elevator that takes us down to that lower section, and we also have in this area the control room that we have to the second lower hangar area. So we can actually access, close, and open the rear refinery access doors. We've also got a catwalk that leads around the side, But if we actually just reactivate our little flying camera, we can have a look at the bottom of the elevator. So we can call this elevator in two ways. We can call it from the actual control room there, or we can control it from the elevator itself. So let's just activate that. It's on a timer block, so you have actually flashing lights as the elevator goes up and down. And in my opinion, that is a very immersive experience. Apart from it seems to suffer a lot of lag when that piston is retracting into the area, possibly due to the lighting more than the actual piston retracting itself. And a very nice and simple locking piston design. Once the elevator gets up to the top, we'll actually stop and we'll go down to this lower area and activate our lights itself. So we've got the side hangar bays here that are quite small because you only need a small access port for the drones themselves. And there's the lower area where the lift actually goes flat with the ground that I quite like the idea of. And then we have the ramp up into the refinery section. So in this refinery section, you can imagine docking your more mining-based drones in this area. And you've just got enough docks that these guys could be coming in and out of here all day, filling the ship up with supplies and whatever you need. So at the back, we have the access to the drone launch control. That is simply this little doorway here. Or if we go through into this area and we work up the steps, this is the main reactor room. So I'm going to turn my lights off so we have the full experience here. And as we enter through this very scary looking airlock, we have the reactor room itself. So if I actually let the lights kill themselves for a second, you can actually see how dark it is. And it's just simply damaged 3 antennas to create this sparking effect. And when you're observing this from the bridge area, or not the bridge area, but the engine room itself, it just really gives you this immersive feel that some sort of reaction is taking place that's extremely powerful to actually attend to them engines. But really it's just a little bit of an atmospheric effect. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I'm just going to do one last thing though. I'm going to take this thing for a quick test flight. So we'll head to the bridge, zoom through all of the interior, spawn myself some legs, activate this control panel, and we'll bring this guy up to speed. So acceleration, since it's got hydrogen thrusters, is extremely good. Let's have a look at our movement. It's not bad movement, to be honest. We've got quite a quick roll. It seems pretty average in control for a ship of this size. The only weakness to see is the cockpit being right there at the front. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and make sure you check this out on the workshop. There'll be a link in the description.